I have here a 4T65E transmission, and what you're looking at is the channel plate. There's something I'm going to do with this channel plate. There's a problem that arises with it a lot of times, and the problem is always with the AFL valve, which is actuator feed limit valve. But what happens over time, this AFL valve wears out the channel that it slides back and forth in. When it does that, it starts to leak. It will cause solenoid codes. It will cause the transmission not to shift, and it will get you'll get a code in there which is an 1811, which is what is it, maximum adapts and long shifts. This AFL valve is a crucial valve because it supplies pressure to various parts of the transmission. So one way to check this is to apply pressure to this hole here. I'll show you. This hole right here, and you will see this valve move. Okay, sometimes it won't move at all, sometimes it'll move halfway. Okay, and the spring, there's a spring in front of it, and if it can't overcome that spring pressure, then that means too much air is leaking out the back. Give you a demonstration. You see the oil? Now I move just a little. Now I'm applying everything that's coming from that air compressor inside this hole here. It's moving, but just a little. Okay. If I was to put some oil down here, you would really see what it's doing. See all that movement here? Now it should go back. A good valve should go back and hit this stopper, which is stopping the spring, but it won't go back that far. Okay. Too much air, too much oil just leaking out of here. Now, there's a way to fix this. There's two ways. One is Sonics has a valve, and you have to buy a reamer tool where you go inside here and you bore out the hole, and you put a sleeve in there that brings it back to its original size, and they got a valve that goes into the sleeve, and it brings back the integrity. What it does, it also repair the bore. But there is another one, another fix for that, which is made by Superior. Their valve is K098. Now, I am going to show you how to install this one, the K098 valve. I use the Sonics valve a lot, all the time. I used to, because this valve wasn't made yet, but this valve is quicker to install. You don't have to ream it, and ultimately you will arrive at the same conclusion, which is your transmission will shift. Okay, now some will say the Sonics version is better because it actually clear the whole bore out, redo the bore, takes the wear out when you ream it out, put a sleeve in, put the valve in. And some are against this one here because even though it works the bore wear is still there, but there's parts of that bore that's not worn, and it plugs this section where the oil cannot even escape out of here. In other words, how it works, it uses the full force of hydraulic pressure to push the valve. So let's say that in order for this valve to move, 70% of oil pressure had to push the valve, and only 30% escaped for it to be considered a good valve. Alright? Then as it wore, 60% would push it, and 40% would escape. Well, if you got to where it was 50% and 50 going out, then that's when you would start to have your issue, because too much is going out. The wear has allowed 50% instead of 30% to come out. So what this valve does, the superior valve, what it would do, even though the bore is still worn, you plug this hole here, and 100% will come and push that valve forward. So let's say it took 70%. If you plug the hole, the other 30% could not escape out. So where would that 30% go? It will help push the 70%. So you have greater oil pressure pushing that valve to make sure that it will stroke. But also they lengthened the land on the valve. As I mentioned, there is part of that area that's not worn so that it can still work, and it will accomplish the same thing. Now, as I say, you have other, various manufacturers. They fuss against each other. Oh, mine is better, this is better. But ultimately, I look at the big picture. Does the vehicle work? Is the problem gone? Problem meaning that it's shifting. Okay, and if it is shifting, then that problem was solved. Now, how long will this last? Now, they will fight with that type of with that argument. Oh, it's not going to last that long. But I always put one of these in, and I've never had one to come back, and that's even after 3 years. So this is the one that I always do. Now, always put it in, and I'm going to show you how to install this valve right now, and then later on I'm going to do another video, perhaps, maybe, and show you how to install the Sonics valve on this actuator feed limit. Okay, this is what comes in their little kit. You got a plug, you got a valve, and you got a spring. And this valve is long here. The spring on this valve goes inside. Okay, because they have lengthened this. Okay. If the valve moves free in the bore, you won't need this. But if it doesn't, then you need some brush tools in order to clean the bore out. Now, this is Superior's Brush Buddy kit. You can buy these also. Now, you got to take a screwdriver or something. You got to take this retainer out, this holder, and make sure your hand is right here, because there's a spring going to come out with it once you lift it up. You don't want to lose it. You're not going to reuse it, but still. Okay, there's the spring here. Here's the retainer. You're going to reuse this. You won't reuse this. And if it's free already, you can just take a magnet and move it out, move it back. Now, this is not completely free, because it's not coming all the way out back. So, there it is. That wasn't too bad. So this comes out. So as you see on the outside, the reason you see how this valve look here, spring goes on top of here. But if you look at Superior's valve, spring goes inside. And they have made this section longer right here. So the part of the board that's worn, that's not worn, this part, the longest part of it, is going to help seal it, and also it will kind of stabilize the valve a bit because it's longer. Okay, this part here won't be, is eliminated, so it looks like this is where it really looks like right here. That's how it's going to fit in there. This part is eliminated, and the plug is going to plug the part that this goes through. Okay, now I'll show you. Now what you want to do, you want to reuse this valve here. You want to put some grease on the tip like that. Put the plug on it, right on the tip like that. You're going to use this to press this in, but first what you want to do is take that brush buddy or something and clean the inside and then wash it out, because you want it to slide easily. Now you want to wash that out. Okay, after you clean this out, this one here that you have this on the tip, what you're going to do, you're going to put this in, and you're going to push this all the way back. Okay, you take the ball peen hammer and you can knock this all the way flush. Okay. It's hard, going to be hard to see, but you don't want to knock it to where it comes out too much here, because you don't want it blowing out. It's plugging this section here. Okay. So you might knock it in a little bit more. Let me see if we can see in there, to when you start to just start to see it coming out right there. So I'm gonna knock it in a little more. May have to use a screw or something, but you don't want to mess up the inside of the board now. I got a little screw here. Alright, I have it in more where you could see it a little bit more now. You can see it, and that's about where I'm going to leave it, because you don't want it to come all the way out. If you come back all the way out and you happen by mistake to knock it out, you probably won't be able to use that plug again, because it won't have the tension to hold itself in there. You may have to get a different plug or buy another kit. Alright, so we got that. Now This should move out easy. If it doesn't, well, there it goes. Okay. Could be the grease that just has some grease in there. And let's see what'll happen if I. Okay. Okay, now you can discard this valve because now you're going to use the valve from Superior. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this bore out a little bit more, and then I'm going to wash it out again. Alright, now after you get that in, the next step is to put this valve in. It goes in this way, and then the spring goes after it. So what you want to do, put some oil or something in there so it can, some oil on here, and let some oil go down in here, transmission fluid, whatever you, lubrication of your choice. You put that in like that. Slide it in. You can see right away that little oil is popping out. So next is to put your spring in. Then you have to put this part in, which holds that spring. I guess you can use a screwdriver. You got to hold that spring back and then slide this down. So let's see. Make sure that spring don't go anywhere. Only have one. Okay. Alright, now you want that spring to be in its proper position. This be all the way down. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you don't see nothing coming out of there now, do you? Okay, let me put some oil right here and let's see what happens. See anything spraying out of that side now? And you should be able to see this valve is stroking all the way to the back. Okay, let's see if I can get you to see that valve. You should see it in here. Oh, wrong thing. See that valve moving? It's even hitting right there now. All of the pressure is, you can hear it clicking. That's what it's supposed to do. The most important thing, there's nothing escaping out of here. So now it's going to apply better pressure to the areas that oil is supposed to get to. So this is how you change the valve with the Superior valve, which is the what is this thing? The K098. K098. Again, when that is bad, it will cause no shifting. It will cause false shift solenoid codes. I've had it to happen where we rebuilt this trans and could never get it work right until we fixed this valve. When I fixed it the first time, it was Sonic's valve, but I've always now, so far recently, have used the Superior valve. Okay, this is for the 4T65E. Always change it, always.